Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for hosting.
Yeah. So we know there is a tense situation right now within the border of Gaza and Israel. So can you explain to us the situations currently right now?
Yeah, there are still battles going on between the IDF soldiers and terrorist monsters from Hamas. What we are trying to do is to defeat them inside Israel, and then going on into Gaza in order to dismantle Hamas, to defeat Hamas. And let me assume, almost with 100% of probability, that this is the last time we are going to fight against Hamas. It's going to be a long journey. We would need the help of the international community. Because it is a long journey, it may take time, and we need the assistance and the help of the international community all along this time. It may take 6 months, 1 year, but we are going to finish it once and for all. Hamas is not going to survive as is.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, we know there is also a lot of civilians killed, both in Gaza and also in Israel. So do you think is there any room for peace right now?
Well, when you fight against monsters, against ISIS like-minded, against Nazis like-minded, there's no room for peace. One thing is for sure. After they butchered and massacred babies, infants, we are going to defeat them. That is the most important thing. More than that, you have to know about Hamas. Since 1988, when Hamas was established, it was written in their covenant that they have one aim: annihilation of the state of Israel, killing Jews as much as possible, and therefore, unfortunately, this is irrelevant question because, again, when you are fighting against monsters, you don't find a way to speak with them.
All right, Mr. Ambassador, we know that Hamas actually claimed this attack as a response to the Israel, they said, aggressive actions against Gaza and the West Bank civilians, especially in Al-Aqsa Mosque. So how Israel see this?
Those are nonsense. I'll tell you why. Because Hamas attacked Israelis and Jews regardless of the situation whatsoever. Again, double check what is the aim of Hamas. If you read the covenant of Hamas, if you listen to their people, by the way, they used to slaughter Jews even before those claims weren't on the table. They used to slaughter Jews since 1988. Now, you have to understand one more thing. It's not about the actions of Israel in Judea and Samaria or elsewhere. Since the establishment of Hamas, they have one aim: to annihilate Jews, to create one state, Muslim, under the Sharia law. And right now, the most progress promoted country in the world is disturbing to their plans. It's not about this kind of event or another. It's about the aim. It's about the ideology. Hamas has a very problematic ideology. And if, God forbid, it would win against Israel, so the world will be next. And this is why I'm telling you that, because I'm saying in general, the world must support Israel, because it's either you support terrorists, beasts, monsters who kill babies, or either you support democratic state, a state of human rights, a state of Western like-minded. That is the whole story in a nutshell.
Okay, but Mr. Ambassador, we know that this war will go long, as you mentioned before, and there are a lot of even like civilians in Gaza experience such as fear as well as destructions. Also, they are becoming the victims of this attack from the Israeli army. So, can you explain to us how does Israel see this? I mean, like it's also impacting the life of Gazan, of course.
Let me ask you, what about my life? What about the life of 1,000 Israelis that already were killed and butchered and massacred? What about the life of 130 Israelis captives in Gaza? What about the life of those who were exterminated by Hamas? And again, if we want the world to be a better off, we must defeat Hamas. I'm calling to the residents of Gaza: take Hamas off power, fight against Hamas, because at the end, This is your interest. This is the most important thing right now.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, moving on to the allegation that Iran also involved in the attack. So, do you have any information, or Israel official have information about that?
Well, you know, Iran, including Hamas and Hezbollah, all those terrorist monsters organizations, they declare out loud that their aim is to annihilate the state of Israel. They support Hamas many times in many events. I truly believe that they support Hamas even in that case. More than that, it used to be a meeting between Hamas leaders and Iranian leaders a few weeks ago. We assume, and I guess at the end we will find the evidence about the connection between Iran and Hamas. More than that, don't forget, who gave Hamas the weapon? Not us, not you, the Iranians, other terrorist groups. So that is the issue. Hamas themselves, they declared that Iran was helping them. So if they say so, what do you want from me?
Okay. Also, there is an allegation as well about Hamas using a weapon made by the U.S. actually bound for Ukraine. So, do you have any explanation about that, or Israeli government regarding this?
I'm not sure this is true. I'm not sure at all. More than that, you have to remember that the Americans is in our side, the Ukrainians is in our side. Maybe it is a weapon that was stolen by Hamas, but it was not given to Hamas. And that is the complete picture.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, the U.S. Just sent its war fleet towards Israel, go near the Israeli border within Gaza. So is this actually a request from the Tel Aviv government to support them to fight Hamas?
I don't know if this is a request. I know one thing. The free world, the people who are promoting life, the good people is on one side, on the Israeli side. The bad people, the monsters, is on the Hamas side. And President Biden, who is a human being, a very, I would say, important figure, is on the side of the Israelis. And by the way, he gives us strong support, not by accident. The most important thing, again, is to give us to credit. It's going to be a long journey. It may take 6 months, 1 year, but we are going to dismantle Hamas. And we need the support of the international community. We don't want to deal with any criticism whatsoever. Let us focus on dismantling devastating power who may, you know, Hamas does not fight only against Israel. It fights against everyone who is not Hamas. Christians, Muslims, and others. More than that, in 2007, Hamas brutally expelled people from the PLO. In 2007, Christians were humiliated by Hamas. They wanted to flee to Judea and Samaria. Israel helped them in that case. So the world must know that everyone should fight against Hamas. And in that case, let me use the opportunity to thank to the Americans that they are in the right side of the map.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, also considering the situation right now, Israel decided to stop all the aids, also the supply of water, electricity, and also gasoline to Gaza. Do you think this is actually goes into the wrong direction? I mean, this can actually escalate the conflict.
Well, after killing more than 1,000 Jews, I don't think it's going to be more worse. We have to dismantle Hamas. We have to fight against Hamas. And every tool is legitimate. Every tool, if it would lead to the destruction of Hamas, it's great. It's great. We have no other choice but to do it. Europeans, besides that, stopped it as well. We have the support of the Europeans. We have the support of the free world. You have to understand, Hamas is a huge problem, and we are going to solve this problem. And every means is legitimate.
Of course, also about the means of how it will destruct the Gazan life.
I don't think it will destroy the Gazan life.
You know, that's also the mean?
I tell you what, it's not going to destroy the Gazan life. Let me go back to the World War II and let me use the metaphor. You know, there is a discussion about bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I know it's very delicate, you know, issue in Asia. But people tend to forget that without those bombs, the war could be much worse. More people could be dead, could be die from both sides, Japanese and Americans. At the end, sometimes you have to use a very difficult means in order to prevent a worse catastrophe. And that's what we are going to do. And we are expecting the international community to be on our side in order to dismantle Hamas. It's not going to be the same. They are going to get a huge hit from Israel that will be remembered for generations.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, moving on to the news that Israel is actually is working on the normalization process with Saudi Arabia. So to what extent these situations will affect the normalization process?
First of all, the first, I would say, target of Hamas was to destroy the connection between Israel and Saudi Arabia. I want to call to the Saudis and say, in order to build a better future, we must normalize the relationship between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Don't let Hamas win, because at the end, if Hamas has won, this is the loss not only of the state of Israel, this is the loss of the Arab world, of the Muslim world, this is the loss of the good people, and that is the main message that I wanted to convey.
But so far, have you made any connections with the Saudi government? I mean, from the Israeli government?
I don't know, because I'm not in Israel, I'm in Singapore, but I know what is the best for Saudi Arabia.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for your time. I think this wraps up all